Hello guys, welcome to my another video on Kubernetes. In this video series, I am going to tell you how to set up master node of a Kubernetes cluster. Slowly, we are going to launch an entire Kubernetes cluster like master, node 1, node 2, node 3, load balancer, and we will also launch a WordPress and MySQL demo to show you how the client connect to the load balancer and how load balancer directs the client to the node 1, node 2, node 3. Internally, Kubernetes cluster work on API server, kubeadm command, kubectl, and kubelet, whereas kubectl is usually used by admin user that is controlling the Kubernetes cluster, whereas kubelet and kubeadm are used by all the nodes of the Kubernetes cluster and master. Kubernetes cluster ports and nodes are communicating at port number 6443. It is the port number by which Kubernetes services communicate with each other. And for setting up the Kubernetes cluster, we have to configure lots of settings on our nodes, like disabling the swap partition, or like configuring the IP tables, installing all the commands of Kubernetes like kubeadm, kubelet, and kubectl. Like in this diagram, in this blog post of Kubernetes, like installing kubeadm, here it is written that our machine version should be greater than a 7 version. Like if I am using Red Hat version 8, which is upgraded version of CentOS 7. CentOS 7 is an open source project of Red Hat where they release a lower version of Red Hat 8. Like CentOS 7 and Red Hat 7 are similar. Our VM should have more than 2 GB of RAM, 2 CPU cores, and the MAC address of every virtual machine node should be different. Our VM should be able to communicate with each other, like they should be in a same network. Like letting IP table see the bridge traffic. We have to enable this, and we have to check this. All these ports should be working. So they will be set up by a kubeadm command. Kubeadm will automatically open this ports. This is the port range where load balancer service will work, like 30,000 to 32767, 32,767. Kubernetes run on top of a containerized platform like Docker, Containerd, CRI-O. By default, Kubernetes work on the container platform called Docker. But we can also we can also configure Kubernetes to another container platform like Containerd and CRI-O. In this practical, I will be using Docker as a container platform. Before installing kubeadm, we have to configure the yum repo of kubeadm. So you can also refer this website of kubernetes.io. I will write the link in description. So let's get started. First of all, check our network connectivity. Internet adapter 1 is enabled, and we have to enable adapter 2 with host only adapter. And note, I will be using adapter number 2. And also check the RAM and CPU cores. RAM is 2 GB, that is enough. And CPU cores processor, let's make it 2. Okay, now let us start the VM. By default, we cannot copy paste text from Windows to virtual machine. So I will be using a SSH client called putty. Our virtual VM has started. So let's log in. In previous video, I have shown you how to install Red Hat Linux version 8 in CLI mode. Please check my video if you want to learn more. So I will be configuring this VM as master node of Kubernetes cluster. Let's check our IP address. Okay, ENP0308 192.168.99.105. Let's start putty root @ 192.168.99.102. Let's save this. Terminal. Disable the bell. Bell will not make any sounds. Appearance. Increase the font size and enable the clipboard for copy paste and save this configuration as RHEL8 YT. Save. Now we have to select this and open. 102 not. I rechecked the port number, it was 105. So load this. Let's edit it. 105. Again save and open. I typed a comma after 192, that's why it was showing error. Now I've repaired it and now it's working properly. Password. So now first of all we will install Docker in this VM, in this node. So let's check if we have Docker installed, like docker info Docker command not found. Okay, so first of all we will install Docker. For that we have to configure our yum repo. So docker rpm move one folder back, this, copy this, move to putty, vim etc yum.repos.d and make a Docker repo. Let's make a Docker repo like docker.repo. Vim command not found. Let's install vim. Yum install vim -y. -y means it will automatically install the vim command. It will not prompt us to write yes or no. It's installing. Size 30 MB. Okay, vim docker repo. That's I press I. Let's give a name of a repo like docker. Give name to our repo base URL equals to. Let's paste the link. Okay, again copy. Control A, Control C, Control Shift V. GPG check equals to 0. Means it will not check the certificates of this website. Yum repo list. REPO list to check our repo is properly configured with yum. It is saying the system is not registered, cannot find valid base URL for repo. Wait, I have did something mistake. Let me check. Okay, in this file, base URL spelling was wrong. It's BASE URL. Save this file. and again run the yum repo list. So now it is configuring Docker repo. It is checking all the file names in this repo list data, packages data. Okay, so let's install Docker. Yum install Docker CE means community edition -y no best. Okay, no best means like for Linux version 8, Docker was not configured. Docker is not configured for Red Hat Linux version 8. So it will install the older version of Docker for Red Hat Linux version 7. So it is installing. Let it install. It is taking time to install. So I'm opening up one more session SSH shell of this VM node, and we will install other repos. And also I made a notepad file. In this file I have written everything. How to configure what? Like if we have installed Docker, now we have to configure yum repo for Kubernetes commands. So go to Kubernetes, installing kubeadm, and here kubeadm the command, bootstrap command. CentOS, Red Hat, and Fedora. Copy this and paste here. So now our yum repo is configured with Kubernetes repo list. Yum repo list. So yum is now checking the Kubernetes config repo list. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so there are 15 repos in Kubernetes and 81 repos in Docker and 6,230 repos in DVD1, DVD2. Let's install Kubernetes commands. Copy this. So while the time Kubernetes is installing, we will switch to another terminal. Okay, Docker is still installing. So let's open one more terminal. Duplicate session. And now disable the SE Linux. Sudo sed enforce 0 will make the SE Linux permissive, but it will not disable it permanently. Control C. SE Linux is a security software in Linux that blocks all the unauthorized protocol that blocks the RSS if we are using a port number that SE Linux does not recognize. Like for HTTP protocol, we use the port number 80. But if we use another another port number for HTTP service, then SE Linux will block it. Like using port number 81 for HTTP requests. So SE Linux will block it. Let's make the SE Linux persistent, permanently disabled. Now what this command did, it go inside the SLinux configuration file stored here, etc SLinux config, and change the enforcing condition to permissive. So when we boot the VM, the SLinux will be permissive permanently. Like I can show you here, cat escape dot. This is the configuration file of SLinux. Here, here we have changed enforcing to permissive. What is the next thing? Let's check our Docker is installed. Okay, our kubectl, kubeadm and kubelet kubectl commands are installed. Let's close this. Our Docker is also installed. So let's make the Docker services permanent. System ctl start Docker. System ctl enable Docker. Now let's run the Docker info. Our kernel version is 4.18. Docker version is 18.09. This is the most stable version of Docker. And behind the scene, Docker is using cgroup driver as cgroup fs. This driver has some bugs which is not compatible with Kubernetes. Like this driver is not compatible with Kubernetes. So instead of this driver, we will use systemd driver. It is much better driver. Okay. So how to change this driver from cgroup to systemd? Like here is a GitHub link. Type change Docker driver from cgroup to systemd. Go to this GitHub link. It's opening, taking time, and here it is. Just run it and our driver will be changed. Now what this command did, it go inside the etc docker folder directory and made a file called daemon.json. And in this file we have written execute options is equals to native cgroup driver is equals to systemd. Means cgroup driver will be equal to systemd. Okay, like let's again restart the Docker services. Me installing kubeadm. There are commands to reload Docker. Yeah, there it is. Sudo daemon reload and sudo systemctl restart kubelet. Kubelet we have not yet configured. So sudo systemctl let's system restart Docker. We have written the command manually. So now let's run the Docker info to check our C group driver has been changed. See, now it is systemd. Systemd driver is compatible with Kubernetes. So we have to change it. Now what's next? No, let's look at notepad file. Docker is installed. Kube repo is done. Disabling SE Linux is done. Permanently enable kubelet service. We are enabling the kubelet service permanently. Next part. Okay. First, we have to letting IP tables see bridge traffic means giving power of IP tables, giving power to IP tables so that they can see the bridge traffic, so they can easily read the traffic, like what is happening in Kubernetes here. So let's copy it. Control C. By default in Red Hat Linux 8, it is already enabled. So let's run the commands. We can also run the commands. By default it's enabled, but we are also then also we are running the command. Okay, like grep tables. See, IP tables 6 is 1, IP tables equals to 1. And now what's next is docker change C group driver done, setup daemon done, restarting docker done, yum install. Okay, so we have to also install a package called IP route TC. This package is for networking, so that all the nodes in Kubernetes, all the nodes in Kubernetes can communicate easily with each other. Mm. Okay, disabling swap partition in RAM. We have to go to the file etc fstab, and here we have to comment the swap line. Click I and then comment it. Save the file, escape, then press colon, then X. Now swap partition is disabled. Now MAC address. So let's check our product UUID. Our product UUID is this, and let's check the MAC address of network cards. I have two network cards, like one is communicating with the internet like ENP03, ENP0S3. This network card is for communicating with the internet, for internet connectivity, and ENP0S8 is for the internal connectivity between all the nodes and the host machine. This network card is most important for Kubernetes, because by this network card only all the nodes will be communicating with each other. Now let's check what is remaining. Okay, everything is done. So we have successfully configured the master node for Kubernetes, and all the services should be permanently enabled. Like when we boot the OS, some services might get disabled or reset to their default values. I will also share this notepad file link so that you can also configure master node very easily. In this I have written everything in very short details. And this is the website link. Just type kubeadm install and this website link will open. And here it is explained very beautifully how to uh, configure kubeadm. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like. In the next video, I will show you how to set up the slave nodes of the master Kubernetes cluster, and also uh, how to launch a WordPress MySQL database server on the Kubernetes cluster. And also, when the client will come, the client will hit the load balancer at a port number given by the load balancer. And it is the choice of the load balancer which node is the most free. It will redirect the client to that node only. That I will cover in the upcoming parts of this video series. Thanks for watching.